we may change the location as well, because our people are scattered in all over India and even abroad. So our responsibility and our task is very heavy. So with that, I would like to welcome every one of you for this webinar. And then our discussion, particularly sharing from different communities and different persons and experiences, are always strengthening our webinar. This is not only a webinar, this is a movement for a change, a movement for a better life. We all know that human trafficking has a lot of history. One can be political history. The other one is economic history and social culture as well. So therefore, let us take it very seriously and then try our best to make it a success. And through this webinar, we get a lot of information, and it is like a school already, that we are coming together and then learning together and then proposing what are the future that holds for us to be engaged. Let us keep a moment of silence, reflecting on the presence of God in our midst, that we are coming together in this manner. Gracious and loving God, we acknowledge your presence at this moment, a moment of Kairos, that you be with us and guide us. As we are hearing and listening to the different voices in connection with human trafficking of the more vulnerable communities, particularly the women, whose economic life is a threat, and then they become vulnerable to that, towards that. We pray that you be with us and guide us, so that all the deliberations may be enrich, encourage, and challenge us to carry on. That this is your mission, the task of your mission, that you handed over to us, and to carry on. Give us strength and courage and wisdom, so that we can carry on this responsibility. We pray that you be with us and guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Our program indicated that there will be, our bishop is not available today because for some reason. So now I will invite Dr. Rosa Gaikwad to introduce the webinar today. Over to you, Dr. Rosa Gaikwad.
Thank you, Dr. Rini. As you rightly said, our coming together is a movement and not a webinar for webinar's sake. And our focus this afternoon is on human trafficking from Tripura. Many of you who are from Tripura, we welcome you in a very special way to this webinar. We have a lot to learn from you. While I'm based in Guwahati, I was trying to look up the newspapers, and there are a few reports that I would like to share just to stir us up. This is almost a year ago in Hindustan Times, the Jaipur edition. There was this report: trafficked, abused minor from Tripura rescued in Rajasthan. And the report goes on to say that a 14-year-old girl from Tripura was trafficked. She was sold twice, raped multiple times, forcibly married off, had to undergo an abortion, All this in a span of about 4 months, beginning from March 2020 to June 2020. Now, why did this happen? There are usual reasons why people fall into the trap of traffickers. In this case, the girl's father had died a few years ago, and the family was living in extreme poverty. And therefore, a neighbor suggested that if this girl is married off to a good family, then she will be better off and the whole family will benefit. And therefore, the mother agreed to let this girl go to be married off to a good family. Then the report states that for 7 days, this neighbor kept the girl in Silchar in Assam. Now, this brings us to the point that Silchar in Assam is also on the traffic route, human trafficking route. And there she was kept for 7 days, where she was physically abused 4 times. Then this person who had taken her from her home in Tripura trafficked her to Delhi, and she was sold in Delhi to a resident of Rajasthan's Junjunu. This happened in April. This person who went to Rajasthan with her sold her again to another neighbor for 2 lakh rupees. And it is the second neighbor of the person who married her. But then it wasn't a proper marriage, and she was ill treated in the home of that man. She managed to escape. Now, when she managed to escape, the husband filed a report, missing persons report, saying that his wife, who was 20 years old, had gone missing. Now, the turn of events that happened, the girl was found by the members of the Rajasthan State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. And when they got the story, they found out that this girl is only 14 years old and she was already 11 weeks pregnant. Now, this was an unwanted pregnancy, and therefore the girl was given a choice. Do you want to bear this child? And she said no. And so she went in for abortion. Now, you notice in this case, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights and different child rights bodies in Tripura and Rajasthan started coordinating efforts to bring her back to Tripura to be with her family. The incident has happened, and in general, government institutions which are supposed to protect people from being trafficked, they are rather reactive, not proactive. That was one incident 1 year ago. A second incident that happened was on 22nd October 2020. In this case, the emergency response support team of Tripura Police, they successfully rescued 2 young girls from Agartala airport. These 2 girls were being taken to Bangalore, and again they were assured a better job and a secured life in Bangalore. However, one of the relatives of those 2 girls was suspicious, so he informed the police. The police got into action and intercepted the team at Agartala. So now you notice in earlier situations, usually the trafficking takes place via the rail route. But now you notice traffickers have started using the aerial route to traffic children and girls. A third incident on 4th February, this was reported by one Ratnadeep Chaudhary in Guwahati papers, and the title is Girls Trafficked from Brew Camp Rescued in Tripura. Now this tells us about another situation. Many of us are aware that brews are in a sense stateless people, and therefore the brew refugees have been residing in relief camps in North Tripura since 1997. Now these are refugees in Tripura. They are stateless people. They do not have support for their education, for their employment, and therefore girls from the Brew refugee camps become easy victims of trafficking. And so the report says that one person brought 11 girls, 9 of whom were minors, and he had told them that he was going to introduce them to affluent households in Agartala, where they could work as domestic servants. Now, this is the usual thing that happens. Children being brought to work as domestic servants, they are being trafficked. And here is the case of refugee girls. Now, it's not only just the refugees in Tripura, but this happens to many refugee camps. Poverty, lack of food, no employment traps girls into this trafficking network. Then on 30th June, Tripura News gave a report, 30th June 2021. They gave a report, and the report says human trafficking in Tripura along the Indo-Bangla border is on the rise. The porous international border provides safe corridors to traffickers. There's a usual story: the traffickers lure the girls with good jobs, quality education, better housing, and therefore the families, hoping to get good money, hand over their children to these traffickers. Children are easy to smuggle through the borders. Children are cheaper, and children are easier to control when it comes to controlling them by the traffickers. And therefore children become vulnerable to this system. And the report given by Tripura News, it's called Tripura Infoway. It says that this trafficking racket is for the purpose of sexual slavery, forced labor, forced marriage, and extraction of organs or tissues. Now, this is another dimension to human trafficking. Extraction of organs and tissues from the bodies of the girls. And so, trafficking is a reality in Tripura, and many of our friends from Tripura will be highlighting this. Yesterday's newspaper, first day before, yesterday's, 1st July 2021, the Meerut Times of a Meerut edition of Times of India rather, it says 40 children taken off a Punjab-bound train at Uttar Pradesh's Muradabad station. All these children were below 15 years of age. They were traveling by the Karma Bhumi Express. Now, this Karma Bhumi Express originates from Jalpaiguri. Earlier we talked about Silchar. Now you can see the travel route by train from Silchar to Jalpaiguri. And it's not just from Tripura. There are other routes that all converge on Siliguri, Jalpaiguri, and from there they are trafficked. So it's a grim situation, a serious situation which we need to address. And I'm sure today's webinar will further stir us into serious reflection and action. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Roser Gaitwad, for your introductory remarks. I think many of the stories, particularly the 5 stories you brought out, are very familiar to us. And so we are having 2 speakers. One is Mr. Dinesh Deparma, who is right now living in Bangalore, a leader of Tripura communities. And then that will be followed by Ms. Bapita Saikia, a legal consultant. So both of them will be sharing their insights, their experiences. And then after that, we'll have a lively responses and discussion as well. Over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you, Dr. Riniralte, and hello, everybody. As the doctor has introduced me as Dinesh Dev Burma. I am Dinesh Dev Burma, and I'm from Tripura. I reside in Bangalore and also lead a team of Bangalore Tripura People's Society. So I closely work with Dr. Riniralte on the Northeast Solidarity Front, and she has been a guide to me from a long time so far. Thanks, Dr. Riniralte, for giving me this opportunity today to come and express the things or explain the experiences that we had. I know many people might have gone through the news and might have seen a lot of news that has come up on the newspapers, on YouTube's, or on the TV channels. But there are many other news or many other incidents that are hidden or which has not come in a limelight of any newspapers or any news channels. So we have handled such cases in Bangalore which we could not publish anywhere, and it was not in a condition that we could publish it, which is why we did not publish in any of the newspapers or in any of the TV channels. However, we have taken a huge actions or whatever the actions required. Like, I would like to explain about one of the incidents that Dr. Riniralte herself has handled, say in a previous year or back to 2019, right, Doctor? The Brew girl who was raped in Bangalore. The girl was trafficked, not exactly trafficked, but yes, as Dr. Roger Geig would say, they were connected by some people or some agents saying they would be given a good job or some work that they will be able to make their daily livings and their earnings, since they come from a poverty background or they come from a poor background. Again, this lady was also from the Brew refugee camp in North Tripura. She was taken to Hyderabad. Later, she worked there for a couple of months. Then, since she was not comfortable there, she was taken back to Chennai. From Chennai, she was brought to Bangalore. And in Bangalore, she was working in one of the farmhouse of some internationals. But in that place where she was working, she was raped brutally by the brother of a driver there. She was connected, she was given this work by a person from a lady from Mizoram, with the name kept unknown. She was tied and raped the whole night and whole day. After which she could manage to run away from there and connect us, or say connect Dr. Riniralte's team. That is when we got into the picture and we did all the formalities required. So Dr. Riniralte has done all all her hard works, or used all her connections to get that girl justice. So later part, me and Nacho had handled the case on the hearings with the judges and all, and we have sent back the girl to Tripura with the help of with the help of Uvagra Pradyut Manikya the Burman. So he has helped taking back taking the lady back to Tripura. But however, later part, the surprising part was the victim, the culprit, the rapist family came back to us asking for some settlements, saying they will give us some amount and was requesting us to close the case, which we ignored. And we have requested the police to take a legal action strictly, not to do any compromise, and we did not compromise on that. That was one of the case that still is unregistered, or would say not published in any of the news or newspapers or TV channels. Another case that we got was of a Muslim lady from Tripura itself, from Agartala. She was also trafficked in the same way. She was promised of some work in Bangalore, Hosur. But when she came to Bangalore, she was taken to some interior place where she did not have any contact with anybody, or neither she knew anything about the languages. There was a language barriers as well, because those people who brought her did not know much of Hindi or English. They were speaking only Kannadas, only the local language of Bangalore. So there was a difficulty the later she got back to us, after which we have handled the case to one of the NGO team of Tripura itself, and they have taken care of it. So here I would not want to give much of the information, or since we don't have much cases now unregistered, as you have all seen the news that has already come up, the news that has been already published. I would want to request people to come up with certain solutions on how to avoid such cases, and how to bring such cases to limelight and information to somebody who would be able to help, and where we will be able to go and rescue more people who might have been trafficked. So maybe this people who have been trafficked are from the poor family background, or an uneducated family background. They might not be knowing about the life situation, about the current situation outside the state or their home, which they will be told in a different way, and they might be brought outside Tripura, and they might be trafficked here and there, which is really a very scary thing for for all of them who would be trafficked. And as Dr. Rogers said, most of these trafficked people are youngsters, or say teenagers, who doesn't understand, or who don't have that knowledge to understand and what might the consequence be if they believe somebody and go like that. So we are planning for a campaign to come up with an explanation, so that we can spread the information in the local, with the local language, to be aware about such incidents, and to consult somebody when they are being connected about such incident, about such things, about being promised of forgiving a work, or being taken to other states and giving them a good life. So rather than believing to somebody in such news or such informations, we would want to create a forum where they can contact us, and we can help them with right or proper information to save themselves and the future, so that they understand it and come up with different ideas. This is it that I have for today. Since I don't have much of the topic offline, or say unregistered, I don't have much of information to share anymore today. Since Nacho is not here, Nacho had a couple of cases that he handled personally. I wanted to talk to him, but since he was busy, I couldn't talk to him. So thank you very much again, all of you, for listening to me. I would be grateful, and I'm ready to answer or help anybody, whoever requires from our end. Thank you, Dr. Reinald, and thank you, Roger.
Ines, thank you very much. I know that you have a lot more to share, and then you being stationed in Bangalore is a great help for your own community, particularly as you also already mentioned that there are many cases that are not registered. We don't want to register at all. Yeah. So you remember how many occasions that we rescue people and then we help them and actually hide their identity. But amazing how people help each other. How Pradeep himself was helping your community is amazing, single-handed. Buying the flight ticket, somebody to travel with her, and then supporting medical help, so many other taxi and everything. Yeah, living in Bangalore is not an easy one because every activity requires a lot of money and time. But still, we are managing. And we have a nodal officer, police officer, who has been extremely instrumental at this time. IPS officer, Sir, we call him Sir Srinath Jyoti, who has been helping us in whatever way, not only in crisis, but also in food. So he was collecting several food for us as well. So this is the situation. Thank you very much, Dinesh, for highlighting all these things. Certainly, there will be discussion at the end. So please remain and
Sure.
you'll be answerable to yes. Okay, now we're coming to the legal consultant, Miss Bapita Saikia. So you are expert in this area. So would you like to say more about it? In what way legal aspect can also be a help? So over to you, Miss.
Thank you, Dr. Rini, for giving me this opportunity here. In the very beginning, I just want to share the recent incident on 29th of June, last 29th of June 2021, in which a child has been taken by his own brother-in-law from Kharghuli, Guwahati, to Rajasthan. This information was circulated, and I informed it by Premaji. So when I received this information, then I immediately contacted with government railway police, but they did not help at that moment immediately. Then we follow up with local police and registered the FIR immediately, because legally this is the first step to proceed. Then we collected the information with the help of police that the child has been taken by the trafficker through a train from Kamakya railway station in Guwahati by Obod Assam. Then our team, that is Baspan Basao Andolan, I am working as legal consultant and state coordinator of Assam in Baspan Basao Andolan. We have a large team in all the states in India. So we circulated all the details of the case with everyone immediately. Then our team, when I informed them that the child has been taken in Abod Assam Express, then our team was waiting in Muzaffarpur, Hajipur in Bihar, then Chapra with RPF. They inform RPF also. So as a result, in the midnight of 30th of June, they rescued the child and arrested the trafficker. And today they are coming back to Guwahati, and the police arrested the trafficker. This is the recent incident, and we have intervened and rescued the child successfully. And I just want to share here that Baspan Basao Andolan has been working in Assam from last 10 years, and we work on every issues relating to child protection. And trafficking is one of the most important issues in Assam, because Assam is the source area of child trafficking, human trafficking. We all know it. So we intervene trafficking cases in three ways. First of all, we try to prevent such incidents. We do trainings, awareness with different stakeholders like police, DRPs, RPF, NGOs, and we build networking with different NGOs and other government stakeholders. Then in this way, we try to prevent in such type of incidents so that child could be protected. Then, if a child has been trafficked or taken away by someone, then we try to rescue the child safely. Then this is our second way, and after rescuing the child, we focus on the case. This is in a two way. That is, we proceed to rehabilitate the child by involving DLSA, District Legal Services Authority, or State Legal Services Authority, by giving him compensation or other rehabilitation which is need to the child. And in another way, we intervene in the case in the court to help by helping police file charge sheet in time, so that the trafficker could not get bail immediately. Or we also help assist the public prosecutor to in framing of charges and other steps in other proceedings in the whole case, so that we can convict the trafficker. So in this way, that means I want to say that in two ways we intervene in the cases. One is to provide victim assistance, to provide assistance to the victim legally or by economically, and also give him education or any other help need to him or to his family. And in another way, we try to intervene in the case to convict the trafficker or the accused person. So this is the basic things we work in trafficking cases. And there are lots of incidents, lots of experience I have been I have in this field. So if and another case I want to share here, this is this is about in the last in March 2020, I received an information from Lakhimpur district from a school that the students are missing from the school. One of the teachers has informed me, and no reason. She did not know the reason. What is the reason why the children are missing here? Then I immediately spoke to SP of Lakhimpur district, and I wrote to him and DLSA and also DCPO. I written letters all to all these officers. Then I requested them to immediately take action what is going on. Then police visited that village of Lakhimpur and made those villagers, they form a committee there and investigate the case. And after the investigation, they found that the parents themselves sell their kids to the people of Arunachal Pradesh for money. It was a big racket of human trafficking. Then police rescued those 3 children from Arunachal Pradesh who were taken from the village and who were sold by their own parents for money, only for 5,000 or 6,000. And then now at this moment, the children are there in the school, and the thing is going well, and the parents are not selling their kids for only for 5 or 4,000 rupees, and awareness is going on, and I'm following up with these people. So this is in this way we are trying to combating trafficking or such incidents from Assam or in our society. And I hope and I request your assistance or your uh, support. I mean, your support from your forum in all this time. I want to thank here Premaji, and she is one of my mentors, and she is really very supportive and cooperative. Whenever I call her or I request her anything for anything, she always help and she provides help and assistance to me. And thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak here. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Babita, for giving us another information on how you engage yourself. So you being a lawyer, you know the system very well, how to contact with the police and how to handle the situation. Yeah, in spite of that, and last year we had about 15 sessions on human trafficking, and this year, as I said, is only the fourth time. You see that how important it is for the Northeast people to network better. So I also put my phone number, and Dr. Roser's phone number is there. Father Tom's number will be put there somewhere also. Let us connect better so that we can help our people better. Yeah. So now we are coming to response. We have 4 people responding. So each one of them will spend 3 minutes or little more. So I will invite Dr. Paul Puduseri to respond. Dr. Paul.
Good evening to you all. Good evening, Dr. Rini, for inviting me to participate in this program. Dr. Gaikwad and Mr. Dinesh Devarma brought to our awareness that trafficking is a reality. It is happening. Somehow, or because of certain situation, these incidents are not much brought to light. Maybe it's good to look at this dimension of trafficking from various angles. One of the major reasons is lack of livelihood. Second is skill sets. Recently, I was approached by a couple of companies from Coimbatore, Bangalore, and different places asking for labor force. And I always ask them, please give me more details about your company, about the board of directors, and about the work conditions. Once I start inquiring, then I realize they do not anymore communicate with me. So when we talk about trafficking, I think it's important to create awareness that they need to find out the place well before they go for a job. Because those who come for recruitment often give very good sweet talk, offering them a lot of facilities. But in reality, some of these agencies are fake and they do not have the credibility they say they have. The other aspect is, I think, from the point of the state government. In Tripura, we have the Superintendent Police of Serious Crimes who actually looks into the issue of trafficking. And then we have the Tribal Welfare Department, which also supports students or youngsters. So I think now we need a concerted effort in creating awareness, having a better network, and then support system, and again, a way by which they can continue to live better. As all of us well know, employment is very limited in Tripura. And many of them are looking for government employment. And it's not possible for the state to accommodate everyone either. So therefore, many may choose to go out of the state in search of better life. I think what's probably needed, as Dinesh Savarma and the others said, once we have a network, then at least they can check with those people in Bangalore or in Pune or in Delhi or in Mumbai, asking these people who are offering me job, are they safe? Are they real? Or are they trapping me? So I think a workshop like this or a get together like this might bring better understanding, awareness, and also recording, maintaining a document. As Dr. Gaikod brought few incidents which has reported in some of the national dailies. There I'm sure, as Dinesh said, there are many more incidents which are not even reported and possibly not getting any assistance absolutely. So I think this evening we are rather well aware that trafficking is a reality and it needs to be addressed. Now the question is how, where, and when. I am from a social work agency called ASHA. I'm sure we are ready to network with some of you in both facilitating the persons going from Agartala and in case something happens to someone, to support them in a way that we can with our networks. As Ma'am Reddy said, network is only possible, is the best way to probably control the trafficking. And at the same time, we need to be aware that those who are engaged in trafficking are not that easy to handle, because the routes they use will be changed, their appearance will be different, the agents they use will be quite clever and well trained. So the task ahead is quite challenging if you have to protect our children and if you have to protect our state and the people of Northeast in a better way. I stop at this moment because I know our time is limited. Definitely, if any would like to ask a question, you're most welcome at this moment, or we can have a discussion later. So thank you to one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, for your insight. And certainly we'll work harder to make our network better. Yeah. Now I will invite Dr. Varghese, Brother Varghese, to share his thoughts, insights. Father Varghese.
Good evening to one and all. I'd like to thank Dr. Rini for giving this opportunity, Dr. Roger Gaikwad for that beautiful introduction, putting us in perspective, Father Tom, Father Paul Puducherry for that brief response. Well, I have been in Tripura for 5 years. From 1990 to 94, I was in Champaknagar, Montfort. And then again in from 2018 to 19, 1 year, hardly 1 year. And then I am right now in Guwahati, part of the Northeast India COVID task force. Probably that is the reason I am part of here. Well, if you look at the data, Tripura actually is at the bottom of the different states with regard to human trafficking. But as Paul rightly said, what we know is only tip of the iceberg. What is brought to the knowledge of the law enforcing agency is very limited. I am sure there are a number of cases. I am sure Dinesh Debarma and the others who are, at different places definitely would have come across more cases, and they will would not want to publish it. It may not have come in newspapers, but then the incidents are there. I think Paul rightly said the response to the situation need to be fourfold. One, I think we have to spread awareness. Awareness not only among the people working in this area, like NGOs, church authority, church agencies, and other groups which are interested, but also spread awareness in schools and colleges. I think the dropouts from the schools and colleges easily become targets, and therefore awareness to the students, awareness to the parents and the public, I think, is of
Is Brother Verghese has a problem, network problem?
Yes, we don't hear anything.
Yeah. So maybe you can go to the next person, the next speaker, and then he can be invited later. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Madam Renee, I think that is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brother,
yeah.
Brother Anthony, you are here?
Brother Anthony De
Anthony.
Burma.
I don't see him in the list. Probably he might be somewhere.
Okay, because Anthony is working very hard towards the holistic development of Northeast, particularly Tripura, and his engagement is beyond social concern, but also to the political, where the peace, negotiating with peace, and many other activities where he is engaged. Okay, that means since the network is not that.
sorry, my internet failed.
Madam Renee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, please come back, Father. Yeah.
I know 2 cases when I was in Mizoram. There were girls taken for training to Calcutta and to Bombay, Mumbai. They were taken by agencies who were connected with the government. But what happened is, after their training, one of them was working in a hotel as a receptionist. Later on, she was asked for favors which were beyond the scope of the work that she was doing. Luckily, she got into contact with some of her teachers, and it came to my knowledge as the principal. Then we made arrangement that she return back to Mizoram. There was another case in Mumbai, same thing. If people were not careful, they would have fallen into the trap of getting into massage parlors or offering services which are not acceptable socially. So these are also, very subtle way of pushing people into kind of trafficking or using them for sexual privileges. Now, with regard to Tripura, I have a point. I think the brew camps are vulnerable points because, people staying there, they have been in refugee camps for so many years. And it is natural that, when they get suffocated, they would like to kind of get out if anybody is offering them jobs. And you have the case which happened in the beginning of this year on 4th of February. I mean, Gaikwad beautifully said that. Now, these things will keep happening unless we have people in the brew camp itself who are actually on the lookout. So I have one more suggestion, like we need people who will be on the lookout in bus stands, because we have had cases of people who were caught in the ISBT, interstate bus terminal at Agartala, in airports. in railway stations, if we have contacts, I think it will reduce the incidence of trafficking, and it will also prevent the people from taking girls and others for this kind of life situations which later on they find difficult to get out. Well, I think networking is a most important thing. I'm sure Paul has a lot of contacts in Tripura. It will be good to keep him in the loop because he knows a lot of people. I have some contacts in Mizoram, and at one time I was working with an NGO there. I am sure church branches at different states, if there are people who are streamlined or dedicated in this, definitely we can prevent a lot of this. So for the root cause of this, especially poverty and poor living conditions, need to be improved. At the same time, we can take precautions and be vigilant. I think that is the one word we should keep in mind, be vigilant. Hello. Let us have people who are eyes and ears. When you hear a case, immediately you inquire, as Dinesh was saying, immediately you swing into action and see how we can contribute. I think that is what I wanted to share as a response. The rest, let us see when it comes to discussion. Thank you for giving this opportunity, and may God bless.
Thank you, Varghese, for sharing your rich experiences. Yeah, in Tripura, in Mizoram, in Assam. I think Rizat, can you please mute?
We got
Hello.
Brother Anthony on the line.
I'm sorry that I came late. I was out of network coverage.
Oh, is it Anthony?
Yes.
Okay, Anthony,
yes.
over to you.
Rini.
Over to you. We are waiting for you. Okay. Will you
Anthony
share?
Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony de Burma. Over to you, Anthony.
What I need to say? Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Rini, I believe you would need to explain him a little bit on what he needs to speak.
I'm hearing you, Anthony.
Anthony.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Tell me on.
Oh, this is a seminar on human trafficking, a case study on Tripura. So we already have sharing. Anything you would like to share about human trafficking or related issues? Yeah, we'll give you a few minutes time. Over to you.
Okay. Yes. As per the discussion with Father Tom yesterday, basically, Tripura is the smallest state within the Northeast. As a whole India, we are 25 years behind ahead than the rest of India. But the Tripura again within the Northeast, we are again 25 years behind the other Northeastern states. So at present, we are really suffering from different issue. Of course, land right is one of the major factors. Secondly, being deprived. Thirdly, we are in a situation where the drugs started infiltrating into Tripura, and it has been noticing that the peer group has been increasing day by day in Tripura. And this is just because there are some systematic that the entire processions started, and earlier our people were killed by gun, by bullets, but at present, they're killing us by drugs. So when our government talks about free drugs state, in fact, we have been witnessing that every day drugs is entering into our Tripura state. So this is one intentionally the whole system is making a systematic process to destroy our people. So therefore, we see many of minor girls, many of our youth, they are also minor, but they are all indulged into this process. So recently there was a case where 4 girls and 8 boys were together, and the alleged was a rape case. So in that connection, we have seen and we have justified an analysis through the different means, and we witness that it is not the fault of the boys and girls, but it's the system and the surrounding, the society, the atmosphere, the environment, sowing the parts is into it. So how do we actually articulate and contextualize the whole issue? And the parents and our people thought that this is the fault of the boys or the girls. But when I try to understand, it is not the fault of the boys and the girls. The girls are being simply trapped. They are being trafficked from village to city. Of course, during this corona, they cannot be taken out of the city or out of the state. But it is the trafficking from rural area to urban. And due to that, we see that there is a massive demographic change into our culture. Because once upon a time, and even till today, our culture is being respected, our culture is being recognized because of one of the civilized culture. But today, when we see the trend, it is slowly going down, because they understand if they can destroy the culture, if they can really break this system, then automatically they can penetrate and they can enter into and destroy the whole culture and whole society. So it is very high time that the society reformations is very much required. And how do we do that? It is only through motivations, counselings to our people, making the people to understand the identity of ours. So there is the only way where we can actually address. But address, again, there is a big question. We cannot call everyone and give them the counseling. But where we have to confront and target is the system. The system as such, where you cannot identify because they're not visual enough, because they are into a very high level where these decisions are being taken. So how do we counter that decision maker in the high level who has actually entered into a system where our boys and girls are being trapped? So this trend is increasing day by day, and we are finding really difficult to counter and to stop this. One reason is that they build the institutions where our boys and girls can go and collect the drugs. Now, if you're saying that we want to make a drugs-free state and we are going to control and we're going to monitor, but there are checkposts in between the Assam Agartala but none of the vehicles or any transportation cannot come without a check post. But it is a check post where they check and where they control the whole things that is entering into a state. But this system is being controlled by the high level. So how do we actually counter this? It's the biggest challenge and it's the biggest issue where we cannot actually confront. So this crisis is actually increasing them vulnerable, and the indigenous women and girls are really facing tough time. And even those people who are good and who are not habituated with any evil practices, they are also now being influenced by the whole system. So how do we counter this? Now, sometimes we believe that through the church level, this can be intervened and they can really motivate, but the church are also now quiet. Now the custom is also very strong. So we thought the custom, through the custom, we will be able to do something to prevent that. But even that has failed. And now we see the law and order. But law and order doesn't actually protect our innocent boys and girls. So how do we come and how do we overcome this? So this is a big question. So I'm just sharing and trying to make you all to understand the kind of situation that is prevailing in the state of Tripura. So it is just a kind of brainstorming. So maybe if any question comes, maybe I'll be very happy to clarify. So I think as of now, since I came late, I don't want to prolong my sharing. So these are the issue that is actually prevailing in the state of Tripura. I think I'm okay with this small sharing, but if there are any other questions,
Yeah, thank you very much,
love to
Anthony.
come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are bringing us a wider circle of problem, which is also related to drugs administration in international and national boundary. So many connected issues has been highlighted. Thank you very much. Now I will invite Dr. V.M. Darlong. V.M. Darlong is Assistant Professor of Tripura University. Over to you, Dr. Darlong.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm very happy, first of all, to be a part of this joint venture, a joint movement against such social evil, human trafficking. And today we are emphasizing on the cases of Tripura. So at the very beginning, we have heard some few instances, or we have come across some incidents which took place in Tripura. Besides that, Reverend Dr. Roger and Dinesh from Bangalore, I would like to just add my personal involvement into that. Just one incident, just a year back. So I came to know that one girl is missing from the Brew displays area, who was brought by one man whose name identity was unknown, brought her to Agartala, and her sister came all the way from the village looking for her younger sister. After coming to know the incident of the little girl missing for quite a month, who was untraceable over telephone, who lost contact, I came to know this from my neighbor. That very night, I contacted the BSCO, that is Brew Socio-Cultural Organization team, and we started we started sharing the phone number of the man who brought the girl. And later on, we have been somehow able to trace the man whom I personally, fortunately, happened to know him personally. However, after hundreds of calls from different numbers, he refused to pick up the call. So we somehow managed late night and somehow got hold of him, and we asked about the girl whereabouts. And by the next early morning, we managed to rescue her from a village. The girl was brought to work as a domestic worker here in Agartala, but she was there in Agartala for just few days. And thereafter, she was taken to a village and she lost contact with her family members, for which her sister was here, who doesn't know the route about Agartala, who doesn't know anything much about Agartala, somehow landed. So we sent her back home. Unreported cases are there many. So the first thing that I would agree with any other presenters is that human trafficking is a reality also in Agartala, like many other places. And so the second part which I would like to share is that what are the causes? I have visited so many places where these human trafficking, the source of human trafficking takes place. And when we see the first scenario that we come across is the vulnerable living condition of the people, lack of education and minimum standard of the living is not found, unemployment, and also we see that in today's society, the gender issue or the cultural practices devaluing the girl child or the women is still seen. Why I'm saying this? So far that we have been hearing from the presenters that we talk about the girls who are being trafficked. Why not the boys? Truly, the boys are also being trafficked, not only interstate, but international. Where I think Father Roger, if he continues his that clip, that we will see that the administrative personnel are also engaged, as per the news reads, that they are helping out in making a fake documents to take them outside the country even. They are being trafficked even outside the country. So this is a big link in which I think such a movement is the need of the hour. So we cannot wait only for the government or for the public agency to come about, but it's I think so it should be the awareness should go beyond that. And also, first of all, we always look into, we talked about, I think Father Paul Pudiseri and Brother Verghese have also emphasized on the strengthening on the law enforcement and also bringing about more and more awareness. I do agree. But we should not be limited to that. We should also question the public authority. The fund being sanctioned to raise this anti-human trafficking unit in all the states, which in papers that we have, what are they doing? We have to raise the voice together. Besides that, like I have just cited one example, the community leaders should also, different communities, we have to share awareness within our community because we cannot expect others to come and help us. Help yourself first. So also like one example which I have cited, the BSU have helped out. They are coming up slowly, but anyway, it will take time. So it is not only bringing awareness in the social media circle, but also let us bring awareness to each and every corners wherever possible through different platforms. Like this is one of the, I think one of the best platform that we can start with, and also many other will do join us, I hope that. And when we come into the causes, I find that most of these trafficked girls, they come from a broken families. So not only the economic backwardness, but also we have to look into the fractured families. I think no one will be trafficked from a very good family. Definitely they are from the fractured or from the broken families. And so it is our responsibility to bring about more awareness, more counseling, and also income generation policy. So we have to bring in some kind of the activities that will give them some income. And also why differences today, the gender, why the girl child are being devalued. So this aspect also, I think it's still a big challenge. So the cultural practice, I think this is also still a very big challenge that we have to talk about. And the last part which I would like to emphasize is that we should have a kind of, I should say, a mental revolution, change in our attitudes, a humanitarian approach, forgetting our differences. Why I'm saying this, particularly in the case of Tripura, although it's a very small state, like Mr. Anthony said, it's a very small state, but the differences, if you look into, I think we should come above these differences. We should emphasize on such humanitarian outlook, irrespective of the religion, the caste, or whatever the economic, social status that we belong to, or whoever is, we have to come above this, and then we have to have that kind of a mental change, and then we have to support each other. Like the legal expert have also given example that legal support, not only legal support, but also in order to sustain the life, we have to discuss. Otherwise, just merely emphasizing on the law enforcement, the law will take its own course of action. But it is also important that we look forward for some other alternative that will give them for the sustenance of their life. So thank you. We will continue on in the discussion. Thank you. This is all I would like to share for this time.
Thank you, Dr. Dalong, for your insightful and for your proposal for the future or action plan. I would say action plan. I think that we have done all the presentation, resource person, and the response. Now we have 10 minutes for discussion. And then after that, I would request Dr. Brightstar Simle to close with his remarks and prayer and benediction. Okay, now the floor is open. It can be by way of questioning or by way of sharing. Hopefully, at least 2-3 people can accommodate with one minute each. Okay, the floor is open.
Thank you, and thank you to all the presenters. I think Mr. Pinaki Das, one of the ANI reporters, he has already mentioned there that in fact there are lots of incidents of Tripura being used a route for international trafficking. I think that's another thing that we need to look into. So earlier we did not know that, but I think there is more and more Tripura is becoming a corridor, both for international as well as for national trafficking.
Doctor, hello.
Yes, popcorn pops up.
Go ahead.
Who is it Father Tom or?
I see Father Jodi yesterday. Father Jodi, I see his
Okay.
hand there. Father Jodi,
Yeah.
please come in.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I am very new to Tripura, just 2 weeks old. And I am very happy to listen to a lot of the issues that is coming up in the Tripura and how you're all involved in this. I will be here for some time and working. I am in Kalishagar, and I have been involved in Right to Food movement in West Bengal, part of a movement even now. What I understand, as I was talking putting in the chat, trafficking, migration goes hand in hand. perhaps there is a hunger-induced distress migration that's taking place. That's been used and misused and abused by these hunters, pimps all around. So we need to approach it in a more integral approach in solving some of the issues of the trafficking. One is certainly the food. Second is the work. This is government pumping a lot of money on it, whether it's been used, and actually all the people are working on this. If that issues is something is solved, of course, awareness and other aspect also will be should be taken care of. Now the Supreme Court has come out recently, yesterday, a couple of days back, with a direction saying that any migrants who come out of it need to register. And also they are talking about one nation, one ration card. Wherever they go, they can get the ration and so on. There are a lot of complications to it, but these are the issues that is happening today. We need to understand. When a person or minor is trafficked, we have got some agencies, very good agencies in India, faith-based agencies like International Justice Mission, where we can tap their resources, and they're very dedicated and they go after the people and rescue them. So some of this networking, we can also use it in order to be effective. So this is what my intervention. Thank you very much. It's been a really very learning time for me. Thank you.
Father, just to actually come to your point, we do understand that their systems are all in place. Supreme Court or the High Court, their directions, their orders are everything in place. Now, what is really happening? And when we talk about the migrants and when we talk about one nation, one ration card, see, the system is that we have everything in place. The only reasons why today these issues are actually alarming is because the entire mindset of the nation is evil. Now we see the whole system that is being formulated by the government. And it is a government, and it is a bureaucrat, and it is those people who make the laws are the people who actually break the law. Now, how do we monitor? There are many agencies, of course, there are many organizations who have been working on trafficking and creating the standard operating system and so forth. But now, when a person is trying to change the system, is being targeted, like our Father Stefano, I just forgot who was in jail now. Rini?
Father stands on me.
Yeah,
Father stands on me.
See, take the example of that. Take the example of that. So now, and many of the international agencies who are actually supporting to these kind of activities and for the cause are being today banned. Now, Bangladesh is emerging much better than India. Why? Because the people who are in a system is reforming their system that has actually gone wrong. But whereas we in India are not trying to reform, or rather we are actually violating all those systems. And because how we are violating? Because we ourselves is participating into that system. So how do we actually address this? This issue is not a new issue. Now, and when we talk about food and other things, we have enough food. Northeast is having enough food. Tripura is having enough food. But why this? Because we are also having a lots of huge unemployed. 21st centuries are with more modernization. People are having mobile, smartphone, Apple phone, laptop, this and that. But there are also people, girls and boys, who are highly educated, but just because they are coming from a poor background, they cannot purchase this high sophisticated smartphone. So what will be their alternative options? So sometimes being educated, being civilized, they themselves choose this route. How do we actually challenge and bring them into a conclusive ideology. So the only thing is this: every individual need to change their mindset. Then only we can change the whole system. No matter you may palm 100 crores, $1,000, but if we cannot change the mindset of an individual, of a citizen, then it is very difficult. And last, Rini, the migrants. When we talk about the migrants, actually, I being an activist, I don't want to be part of this, what you call definition of the migrants. You see, in Tripura, many of the migrants has come in. But what happened? They have overtaken us. They have controlled everything, and they're the people who are running the system. So what will be our life in this kind of scenario? So that need to be articulated in very, very scientific way, so that we can actually find out some strategy where we can really bring certain issue and where we can really change system, step by step. So these are certain issue where we need to actually think beyond what is happening currently.
Thank you very much, Anthony. And Father Jyoti, your experience in West Bengal will be a great help, particularly in the aspect of hunger reduce and also, yeah, several other aspect of it. Wow, our discussion has become very, very interesting. I think we need a full day seminar on on searching for step 1 to 10, maybe a direction where we can go from different aspects of life. Yeah, maybe one more voice we can accommodate. Anybody would like to?
Yeah, Sister, Rini, Dr. Rini.
Yes.
Yeah, Prema here. Yeah, Prema here. Nice to hear from various sources of Tripura, different people giving their opinions and different way of looking at perspective of human trafficking. I'm happy about it because very less we know about Tripura. Having worked the past several years on anti-human trafficking, I have less heard about Tripura, but I read almost every other day the rape cases in Tripura. Okay, it is rightly mentioned here, maybe because of the use of drug, the rape cases taking place so much there. Okay, in Tripura, almost every other day there is a report on rape. So that's something that we have to see. Is it a drug alone playing a role there, or else, or something more? Okay, then I know something about Tripura is several girls are working, studying outside, not working, studying. Some have gone for their BA for 6, 7, 8, 9 years. They are doing their graduation. When I asked their parents, how many years? Past 8 to 9 years. Oh, 9 years graduation. So parents themselves, they do not know. And as we said, somebody mentioned here, there are girls being taken from Tripura to get married to the boys in Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab. That is a reality. That's a reality we have to look into. And can anyone tell me one organization, one NGO that has focus on human trafficking in Tripura? Any NGO is working specifically on anti-human trafficking. If there is one, please let me know. That will help us to network with that. I have not heard, because several times people ask me, do you know anyone in Tripura whom we can contact? But we don't have. Individual case, probably 2 months ago, somebody asked me, one of the girls, many years ago, she went as a domestic worker in Bihar and she got entangled with the Bihari there, got settled there. Now she wants to get reconnected with her family. So they sent me the number. She's a domestic worker. So they sent me the number and I contacted Father Bosco. And he immediately contacted the people and I connected them with her. So that's one case, which means several cases must be there. So if there is any NGO that has got their focus on anti-human trafficking, it will be great that we can get connected. And Father Jyoti said about IJM, we are already, the Set Them Free is already networking with the IJM. Thank you so much.
Father Tom, I think we need to close down. You have any announcement to make?
Yeah. Before we go to the final, the concluding words and the prayer by Dr. DJ Simli, I just would like to make few comments. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining us today, this evening. And this program is organized for the information of for those who are new in collaboration with the UCFNEI, United Christian Forum of Northeast India. I see many of our leaders are there. In the meeting, I see Dr. Solomon Rumbi, the former Executive Secretary of CBCNEI, and also was the Vice President of UCFNEI. He's there from right from the very beginning. And then I see Reverend D.V. Basai Moy, Dr. DJ Simli, and many of our leaders are part of this exercise. We do this also in collaboration with the NES and then Hope Charitable Foundation. And what we try to do, we don't create simply awareness. We also try to reach out people all over the Northeast, say like who face this kind of instances. And what we do is we network with the IJM is one, Childline is another government agency, RPF is another agency, and that is how we were able to rescue a boy some 2 days back from Guwahati. So we are not simply doing a campaign, but networking with the people who can rescue our boys and girls. So we have started this exercise, as Dr. Rini rightly said. We completed Mizoram, Assam, and then now we completed Tripura. We are aware of what is happening, and there is a special significance for this campaign during this pandemic times, because during the pandemic, we are seeing a hype in the trafficking cases. People are exploiting the vulnerabilities of our people from the Northeast. And they are using social media platforms, they are using simple phones. So they are reaching out to our villages. So we need to be very, very careful. And then another reason we have also a Facebook page, a WhatsApp group. And then if you come across any case anywhere in the Northeast, please connect with any one of us, and then we will be able to network this cases even in the bordering countries, even the other places that is possible. So this kind of networks are strengthened through this kind of meetings. That is something that is really happening. And I would like to thank all of you once again for joining us, and a special word of appreciation to all those who took pain to present their talks today, and also those who gave responses. I am not able to distinguish between the presenters and then those who gave responses, because both were very, very insightful. And then the information that we are coming from the chat box, they are equally important. And many people, they were telling me, or some of them were telling me, human trafficking, oh, no, 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 there is no human trafficking in Tripura. To me, and to many of us, human trafficking is a tragedy, is a crime that is taking place in every state of Northeast India. As many of us, our people have said, we need to network together. We need to do a lot in the coming days. And it is not going to end with this meeting, but we can really know who is who, and then what can be done. And then in one of our first presentation, we had from Bachvan Bachao Andolan, and the way and the passion with which they work sometimes simply amazes me. So there are people with whom we are able to network and collaborate, and there are a lot of possibilities. Let us continue our work. Thank to all of you, and a special word of of appreciation to Dr. Rini who has connections all over the world. And she is a big force for preventing anti-human trafficking in the Northeast. For many of you who do not know, she worked for 30 or more than 30 years in Bangalore. Now she has come back to Mizoram. That means she has more time for networking and then working with the people of Northeast India, especially with this kind of issues. Thank you very much, Madam Dr. Rini, for conducting today's meeting so well. And for the last concluding words, I would request Dr. B.J. Sivali, another tall leader from PCI, Presbyterian Church of India, who has been there practically in all the meetings of these webinars, and then trying to do whatever we can to end the human trafficking. Dr. B.J. Simli, very, very glad that you are there. And then we would like to hear the final comments and a prayer from you. Over to you, sir.
Before I invite Dr. Brightstar, I just want to give information that 3 things. One is that in Tripura context, majority native become stranger, minority, vulnerable community, and the need of human development index, because we don't know much about our situation. The third one is that the bill on trafficking is coming, proposed by the central government. So then the draft is already circulated. Sister Prema has circulated the draft, and so there will be a study team as well, expert team as well, to study more about. I think the date proposal is open until July 14. So certainly we have to keep in mind, if anyone is interested in that, you can contact Father Tom for that. So now to conclude with that, I will request Dr. Brightstar to list that in his closing remarks and prayer and benediction.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Rini, and thank you, Father Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have had a very lively, informative, and insightful session this evening, dwelling on human trafficking with particular reference to Tripura. I think right from the beginning, introductory remarks given by Dr. Roger Gaikwad throughout the presentation, the discussion that we have had. I think this evening we are looking at the issue from the perspective of the margins, and we have been, I think, I'm just trying to put it in that way that most of the time reference were made to the people in the Bru refugee camp, the people at the margins. I think that is something unique this evening. And what came to my mind when I listened to all the discussion is that there are 2 things that we have to go look in order to go forward. One, we already looked, but maybe we can do better. Understanding the experience, the challenge, and the helplessness of the people who are being trafficked. I think we have said that, and the Bru refugee camp is the best example for that. It's very easy for us who are not in that situation to speak. But when you are, I think if you're there in that situation, even after you are being made aware of the problem, but with the challenges that you are facing, when people come to offer to you, make those offers, sometimes it's very difficult to escape that temptation, even parents and all. So I'll come to that. Maybe we can dwell more on that. But what I would like all of us to look at in the coming sessions, coming days, coming weeks is to understand the mind and the working of the traffickers. I think that is where we have not been looking at properly. Now we need to go for a more detailed analysis of this issue. Now, we need to understand the network that is designed by the traffickers, because they are able to influence people and also to transport in the process of trafficking people. Now, as I have said, beginning, we have looked at the victims. Most of the victims are from the vulnerable, economically vulnerable situation, like those in the Bru refugee camp. So now my question is, the first is, who are those people, the traffickers, who are there at the first stage or at the point of origin? Definitely, they must be people who have access to our villages, to our localities, who have access to our families, to the parents, to the guardians, people whom most of us, we will never be suspicious of them. Now, we can learn something when we give awareness to children about sexual molestation, sexual harassment, that be careful of a bad touch. And the bad touch most of the time comes from people who are familiar, close ones with you. Now, even the point of origin of the traffickers also begins from there. Now, can we have a closer look at that? It's not something easy, but something that we can look. They must be people who, those who are trafficked are familiar, those people in the villages are familiar, and familiar, trusted, and maybe people who have authority in the localities or in the villages. Now, they are very influential. Sometimes I used to think to myself that maybe people, they must be very smooth talkers because they are able to convince despite the difficult situations, despite people knowing about the perils of being trafficked. Because we cannot say that most of the people don't know. Now, in the age of social media and all, even people in the villages, they know. Maybe not all, but even those who know, they are being trafficked. So the traffickers, sometimes I used to assume maybe they have been trained for that. Maybe they are people whom we are familiar not. So maybe that is one that we have to see. Now, another point is, now we have been discussing today, we said that the old route of trafficking people, transporting, is through the railway. But now they are going by flight, by air. But one question which comes to my mind is, now while they are being transported, there must be someone who are accompanying them. Now again, we have discussed this last year, but maybe we can go more into detail. Now, can we do something to help people to identify those who are accompanying them? Because those who are being trafficked, most of the time they remain silent and they cooperate with them. So that is something, because when we think about the places through which they have to pass through, they are not passing through the jungles. They're not passing through isolated places. They'll pass through bus stations. They'll pass through railway stations. They'll pass through airports. And all these are crowded places. So if a person understands that he or she is in a problem, maybe one sign or one scream will alert others. But again, that is the thing. That's why I'm saying that the network that is being created by the traffickers is something that we should go into the mind of the traffickers. Then we have also discussed about the need to enlarge the circle of people to whom we need to give awareness. So we have been doing in this platform, network and all. Maybe that is our job now, for us who are in the churches, for us who are in the organization, especially at the grassroots. I don't know how much it will be possible, but maybe I would say that our respective churches, some of these issues should be taken up maybe in the Sunday schools, in the youth fellowships, in the women fellowships, or maybe in the villages where we have those the NGOs at the grassroots level, where we can really reach out to the people. And when we do that, I think we need to fine-tune the contents of awareness that we are giving, the content, because we have to be sure and to be strong to think properly, in the sense that we know that, as I've said earlier, the traffickers, they are always one step ahead of us. They are always one step ahead of us. So we should compete with them now. And we should try to read them, understand, and the contents of the awareness that we are giving to the people, it should be something that people will be able to understand. Because in the end, somebody made the comment that even in those cases being trafficked, then some of the after families, they wanted the cases to be withdrawn. Now that is also a big question that we should ask. Are they being pressurized, or what are the compulsions? Maybe some of those things also have to be looked at into. So these are some of the comments that I would like to make, and maybe we can discuss more in the weeks and in the days to come. So once again, thanks to all the presenters, thanks to all the respondents and all of you who have contributed through the discussions. We will be continuing in the coming weeks, and we hope that it will be a blessing to each and every one of us and to the society as a whole. So we will close. Let us look to God in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for this beautiful evening that we have had to have this discussion on human trafficking in the context of Tripura. We thank you for all the insights, information, and everything that we have learned this evening. And we hope that all the things that we have learned this evening will help us to network together properly, and to help those who are in need and those who are vulnerable. Be with us in the days to come as we continue with our discussion. Bless the United Christian from Northeast India as we continue to minister together to the people in our churches and to the people in the society at large. And as we close, may the grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the love of God the Father, and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit be with us all, now and always. Amen.
Amen.